On January 7th and 8th, Pope Leo will preside over the first extraordinary consistory of his pontificate. It will not be a simple formal meeting, but a working meeting organized according to a precise method, already defined in detail. The chosen setting marks a clear distance from the traditional model of the plenary consistories of the past. According to Diane Montagna, the work will be organized under tight deadlines and with a highly regulated structure. The cardinals will be convened on the afternoon of January 7th. After registration and a welcome in the Paul VI Hall, the proceedings will open in the Synod Hall with a community prayer. This will be followed by a greeting from the Dean of the College of Cardinals, and only then will the Pope speak. Leo XIV's introductory speech will play a central role. It will not only be an opening address, but also the moment in which he will explain how the consistory will be conducted and the method by which the cardinals will engage in debate. It is at this stage that the operating procedures, including the rules of the debate, will be communicated. The consistory will not be held in a continuous plenary format, as has traditionally been the case. Instead, the work will be divided into 3 sessions spread over 2 days, and based on the so-called working group method, an approach already used in recent cardinal meetings and typical of the synodal process of recent years. The cardinals will be divided into small groups. Each group will work separately, discussing the assigned topics and formulating a shared summary. These summaries will not be immediately debated in the chamber, but will be presented later in the form of group reports. A significant element, highlighted by Montagna, is that the criteria for composing the groups were not communicated in advance. They will be made public only after the Pope's initial speech. This means that the cardinals will not know in advance either the composition of the groups or the role each will be called to play. The first session, on January 7th, will be dedicated almost entirely to group work. After the division, the cardinals will begin their private discussions without public debate. The session will conclude in the late afternoon with a further address from the Pope and a moment of prayer. This working model represents a clear break with the classical form of the consistory, which provided for public and orderly interventions by the cardinals in a plenary assembly. It is precisely on this point that the first criticisms that emerged in ecclesiastical circles focused. According to several observations gathered in cardinal circles, the working group method risks limiting direct dialogue between all the cardinals. Discussions take place in confined spaces, and conclusions are filtered through summary reports, reducing the possibility of open and full debate. Work will resume on January 8th with the celebration of Mass in St. Peter's Basilica. The liturgy will mark the beginning of the second day, before the morning session begins. During this phase, the working group's reports will be presented one after the other. After the presentations, the program includes time for the cardinals to speak freely. However, here too, some concerns arise. Time is limited, while the number of participants is high. This raises a concrete question. Will it really be possible to hear all the voices? The very structure of the program seems to indicate that not all cardinals will be able to intervene extensively. Free speeches are scheduled within a limited time frame before the shared lunch with the Pope. The risk, noted by several observers, is that the discussion will remain partial and that many positions will remain unexpressed. Lunch with the Pope is officially included in the day's program. It is presented as a moment of sharing, but is not intended as a formal space for structured discussion. The third and final session of the Consistory will open in the afternoon. This session will follow the same format. Further reports from the working groups and new free interventions, always with limited time. The conclusion is set for the late afternoon with the final speech of Leo XIV and the solemn singing of the Te Deum. Criticisms of the method adopted concern not only time management, but also the centralization of the process. The Pope opens, directs, concludes, and establishes the modalities of the discussion. The cardinals participate, but within a predefined framework with limited scope for initiative. According to various assessments, this model reflects a vision of the consistory more akin to a top-down synodal process than to a true collegial discussion in the traditional sense. The transition from plenary debates to small groups profoundly changes the nature of the assembly. In this context, the circulation, in the previous days, of a proposal regarding the ancient Roman rite also fits in. The proposal is not officially on the agenda, but the fact that it was sent to numerous cardinals on the eve of the consistory indicates that the topic could emerge indirectly in the discussion. On this point too, the working group method raises questions. If a sensitive issue, like the liturgy, is discussed only within small groups without a clear plenary debate, the risk is that positions will be fragmented and a comprehensive vision of the college will not emerge. The consistory of January 7th and 8th, therefore, appears to be a highly organized, but also highly controlled event. Everything is punctuated, regulated, and channeled. The synodal method of working groups becomes the primary tool for discussion, but also the most controversial point. The question that runs through the entire event concerns not only the topics discussed, but the very way of listening to the cardinals. In a consistory with many participants and little time, the risk is that the discussion will be more formal than real. This first consistory of Leo XIV will not produce immediate decisions, but it represents a test of his style of government. How the confrontation is handled will say a lot about the relationship between the Pope and the College of Cardinals at decisive moments in the life of the Church. What do you think? If you liked the video, comment, Amen. God bless you.